Day 92, 3 podcasts that you need to check out. I've talked about consuming multiple forms of media, um, whether it be videos like what you're doing right now, whether it be podcast, audiobooks that you can listen to, whether it be books, right? I think that different forms of information come across differently through different forms of media, and a principle or a fact or a lesson that may not stick over an audiobook, maybe it sticks or you see it in a different way that you can actually apply to your life and your business through a book, right? So anyway, this in this video, I'm going to talk about 3 podcasts. So, first one I want to talk about is called MLM Nation. It's by a guy named Simon Chan. And what Simon does is he interviews people in network marketing companies who are at the top of their company, who are at the top level. And this is whether or not you're in network marketing, which I've already talked about how I think it's a smarter way of doing business. I really do think that it is the future, and it's a way of solving a lot of the problems that we have in today's society. Unfortunately, there is a significant learning curve, and we are not taught to look for opportunities. We are taught to be employees and to follow instruction. So the number one thing that I really took away from Simon Chan's podcast, MLM Nation, is that, the belief factor really increased because all entrepreneurship, including network marketing, social marketing, can get very lonely. And you have to be very careful with who you surround yourself with, because it can be really, really easy to surround yourself with a bunch of negative Nellies who have no idea what they're talking about. And before you know it, you're so dejected and you quit. You give up on your business. So what my belief really increased because the questions that Simon asks these people who come from literally every single walk of life. I'm talking previous ex-cons, PhDs, lawyers, accountants, like every single walk of life. And that's another reason why I think network marketing is such an amazing, incredible industry. But that's MLM Nation. Second podcast I want to talk about or mention is How I Built This by Guy Raz. So you might laugh, but one of the things that I really took away from How I Built This, would it be the one that I've listened to the most out of these 3? MLM Nation and How I Built This, and then you'll see what the third one is. Those are, I think I may have listened to the most of How I Built This. So How I Built This by Guy Raz, NPR. The funniest thing or biggest takeaway is that literally the biggest companies in the world would not be here if these founders did not have rich parents. Period. So anyway, Guy Raz interviews CEOs of all the biggest companies in the world. Like I'm talking Stripe, Airbnb, Expedia, DoorDash, all Uber, Lyft, all the biggest companies in the world. And without getting into too much, I just you learn so much from realizing how these people think, the way that they approach problems. And again, many of these people are privileged. I'm not going to sit here and act about that. That's the major difference between the other 2 podcasts that I talked about versus How I Built This, NPR. I don't care how many times these people, we were comfortable. You had money. Your mommy and daddy had money, okay? Stop trying to diminish that or trying to act like you didn't come from money, because that's what made the major difference. With that being said, they still go through real life things. Some of these founders, some of these CEOs have had spouses die on them, have had to raise kids as single parents, have gone bankrupt. Those are all real life things that I think that might be the biggest thing that I took from How I Built This, is seeing how these people navigate these huge problems and learning, seeing how their thought process worked. Honestly, for me, more so than hearing about their come up. But that could just be me. Last but certainly not least, the third podcast I like to recommend is Your Virtual Upline by Bob Heilig. Bob Heilig also, or Your Virtual Upline, is also in the MLM space, multi-level marketing. What I really like is that it's very, very objective. So they don't use any company names. Same thing with MLM Nation. He gives you so many practical tips about how to run your business. So even if you're not in a network marketing company, damn near every tip that Bob Heilig gives you in his podcast episodes, which I also like that they range in length. They're not all a specific length. And for me, it's just really about giving you the concrete knowledge, the concrete principles, things that, and if it doesn't take, half an hour to drive that point, he does it in 15 minutes and then the episode's over. And then there's plenty of episodes that, are longer. But anyway, Your Virtual Upline, How I Built This, and MLM Nation are 3 podcasts that I would highly recommend that have really helped me in my business and that I know would help you in yours.